Hello there, and welcome to Critical Thinking. This is one of the thinking skills we should have. Objectives of this presentation. Thinking critically as a student will confer benefits in many areas in our lives. Critical thinking skills are a vital part of your academic life when reading, when writing, and when working with other students. You probably already use critical thinking skills in domestic decision making or at work, for example, when you are choosing car insurance or assessing how to move forward in a project. To think critically is to examine ideas, evaluate them against what you already know, and make decisions about their merit. The aim of critical thinking is to try to maintain an objective position. When you think critically, you weigh up all sides of an argument and evaluate strengths and weaknesses. So critical thinking skills entail actively seeking all sides of an argument, testing the soundness of the claims made, testing the soundness of the evidence used to support the claims. So we have a claim. So in order to verify the claim, we have to test it and we have to provide evidence. This is critical thinking. Being an independent learner. All universities encourage their students to be independent learners, and critical thinking is central to this. You show you are an independent learner when you analyze, evaluate, synthesize information from a variety of sources and present your own justified interpretation. This is known as employing higher order thinking skills. Here we have to look at this thinking triangle. In 1950s, Benjamin Bloom identified a set of important study and thinking skills for university students, which he called the thinking triangle. Let's see Bloom's taxonomy. First, we have this as a hierarchy or pyramid. We have here the base, the broad one, to know. This is the first aim, to know. Be aware of something, recall information. This is the main skill. Or to know, knowledge. Then you move on, or you move up to comprehend, have understanding. So you have knowledge, then you understand. Then you apply, move up through the pyramid or the hierarchy, you apply this knowledge. So you use this knowledge. Then you analyze what is meant by analyze, make methodological detailed examination of the constitution of something. Then you can synthesize, combine information or ideas into something new. Then you can evaluate at the top of the pyramid, make judgments about the value of ideas or information. So do not be judgmental. Do not judge things unless you go through the whole process. You know, you comprehend, you apply, you analyze, you synthesize, then you can evaluate. This is the sequence or the normal sequence of thinking triangle. First, you know, then this is the base. So we start from the bottom up. Know, this is number one. Number two, to comprehend, to understand. Number three, after you understand, you apply. After you apply, you analyze. After you analyze, you can synthesize. Synthesize means you combine information, you compose. Then you can, at the end, you can evaluate information and you can judge. These higher order thinking skills are the same as critical thinking skills. They will help you in both your reading and writing and enable you to work effectively as an independent learner. They will also help you to work with others in a constructive and useful way. Using inquiry-based learning. As an independent learner, you must be willing to reflect on what you are doing and how you are progressing. Asking appropriate questions of the materials you are reading is an essential part of this. You won't exercise your critical thinking skills by listening or reading passively. You will gain these skills only by engaging actively with the subject matter. You can do this by asking appropriate questions of the material, investigating solutions to any problems, creating new understanding as a result, and then reflecting on what you have gained. This is called inquiry-based learning. See, this is inquiry cycle. You ask questions, you investigate, you draw conclusion, then you evaluate, reflection and expression, and it is a cycle. What is an argument? An argument can be said to have four basic elements: claim, evidence, a warrant, any qualifications to the argument that might be necessary. The nature of the argument may determines the exact form in which these elements appear. Here we have a claim, then evidence, a warrant, and any qualification to the argument that might be necessary. And here you have to differentiate, for example, between the fact and the opinion, because some people are confused. They say opinions and consider them as facts. This is judgmental. No. In critical thinking, you shouldn't be judgmental. You should be critical. And you should, things are not absolute in the world. Things are relative. So in order to understand the argument, here we have claim, we have evidence, we have warrant, and we have qualification. Let's go one by one. An example of a flawed argument. This is a claim. I won't have to work so hard if I go to my first tutorial. Evidence. Statistics show that students who attend the first tutorial are more likely to pass the course. Warrant. The statistics say that attending the first tutorial makes you likely to pass the course. I will attend the tutorial and feel confident that will secure me success. Qualification. I need to ensure that the tutorial notice that I have attended. So this is not a good claim or a good argument, because statistics show that students who attend the tutorial are likely to pass. This does not mean that attending means success. So you have to express the claim or the argument in the right critical way. Steps to think critically. Although there is no one right way of thinking critical, you will find it useful to get some basic tasks done before moving on to an evaluation of any material. Try the following 3 steps. Identify the thrust of information. Analyze the material. You compare and apply the information. Identify information. Analyze the material. Compare and apply the information. Identify the thrust of the information. First, identify the general thrust of the argument within the information you are reading. At this stage, you are simply trying to define and be aware of the subject matter. Try to identify the main points of the argument. Number 1, claims being made, evidence used, conclusions reached. This is how to identify information. Next, how to analyze information. Ask yourself, does the information make sense in relation to other theories and research? Where in the broader picture does this particular argument sit? You have to think of the broad picture. How old is the material? Is it new material or old material? Is a material clear, or do you need to find additional information to aid your understanding? Can you identify any implications that might require you to look for the other material? Perhaps complementary explanations of a phenomena if the original material is not comprehensive enough. Then, next stage, compare and apply information. You have to look for implications of one piece of information for another. The implications, weaknesses that might be revealed when you apply the idea to a real-life situation. 3. Lack of coverage. Does the theory or formula only go so far, and do you need to draw upon another theory or principle to complete your understanding of something? You have to compare before you apply the information. How to evaluate the argument? When you evaluate academic material such as a journal article, you are aiming to form a judgment on the validity of the argument presented. You can do this by looking at the coherence of the argument and the supporting material. These two elements are very important: coherence of the argument and supporting material or supporting evidences. You have to take notes critically. How to take notes critically? Being able to express your powers of critical thinking begins with the notes that you take during your course. Note taking is an important stage in understanding what you are reading. You may find that the very act of writing your notes helps you to distill your understanding. Thank you for your listening. Goodbye.